All right, it's me, Lawrence Presman, Matt Joseph at Mid-Major Matt, and of course, Ralph Michaels, the pen at Cal Sports LV. It's the NFL Presidential Address, Week 7. Let's start with you, Matt. How are you, and how did you do last week, my brother?
A bit of a roller coaster weekend. Some good picks, some poor picks, but that is life when you're picking props. Had a couple fall just short, had a couple go over. So that's just what happens. And looking forward to talking about this week's slate and starting off with, unfortunately, my Eagles tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's where we're going, right after Ralph's TNA. Ralph, how did you do last Sunday and Monday?
Prez, I had a weekend from hell. So I had one of those disastrous Saturday, Sunday weekends that unfortunately happened to every capper. Happy to tell people about them because the expectations have to be realistic. And, as I tell people, when you have a bad week, you don't think you work any harder, but boy, I really do believe you do. So
Yeah.
I have a vengeance week this week coming up.
Dude, I feel the same way. I had a good day Sunday. I went 3-2 and then screwed it all up on Monday and had the Kansas City over and Dallas. So I had myself a losing week, and man, I'm down like 16 units or something in NFL, and it just doesn't sit well with me at all, Ralph. And I agree with you, man. I have been going crazy getting ready for Week 7 because we just can't have 2 weeks, 2 losing weeks like that. So it's going to be a big bounce back week. As far as the consensus plays go, we went 2-1 last show. We went 2-1 the show before. Our season record is 7-8 after a slow start. I want to welcome everybody into the room. Simo, Amir, Mike, Tats, Davy Jones, N.O. Jeej killed last week. Congratulations. And also nice to have you. Haven't seen your name before. Jason C., Chris, Hunter, Dan, Lamaguina, the sports group, Chris Hunter, Superman, our MVP. Welcome all to the NFL Presidential Address. I know 1 hour, bugger off. Okay, Ralph, get into it. TNA, let's go.
Before I do that, I do want to mention one thing. I've been handicapping a long time, and I really don't want our viewers to put that much stock into consensus plays, because a lot of times consensus plays aren't our top 3 or 4 plays. It's those 5 and 6 plays that we all just agree with on the middle. So take that with a grain of salt. By no means should you think because there are consensus plays, they are our group's best plays together.
Yeah,
but,
I want to add to that, Ralph, because it's funny you say that. You and I both have access to the back end of Wager Talk. We see everybody's plays, and it's always one of those things where you go down the list. 7 guys like Georgia over Alabama. Nobody likes Alabama. For some reason, those plays always seem to lose. So, well said, my friend.
Like I said, we hope you get winners, but don't treat them as best bets. Unless someone says on the show, hey, this really is my best bet, number 1, or number 2, it's a play I'm betting, because those are legitimate plays. Every play I give to my customers, I bet. So, moving forward, first let's talk about some big lines. Buffalo laying 13 to the Jets. Did you know that the last 19 double-digit away favorites going back to 2017 have gone 16-2-1 against the spread, 89%.
Wow.
So if you think Buffalo's laying too much on the road, there have been some bad teams recently, so that double-digit away favorite has really gone up. This one, to me, makes a ton of sense, guys, and it's almost in the same theme. Double division away favorites of 8 or more. That would apply to Buffalo over the Jets and Kansas City over Denver. Those teams, 7 overs, 30 unders. So you are 82% to the under. To me, it makes perfect sense. You're not going to embarrass an opponent you're likely going to play again or have to play twice next year. You get that lead on the road against a division foe. You're looking forward to getting out of Dodge. So 82% to the under when you have a division away favorite of 8 or more. A couple things I want to mention. Prez, you heard this one already because I talked about it on Wager Talk today. People that say back-to-back road games and the second game in Denver. Huge edge for the Broncos. Team traveling, having to travel again, have the altitude of the Denver Broncos since 2006. Teams like Kansas City that have gone on the road the week before and then had to travel to Denver the next week, they've covered 64% of the time. So that is a myth that it's a tough double-digit. Yeah, it may be tough, but I'll tell you what, the line just destined. The players are psyched for it. The oxygen intake has become so much better recently that myth or that may have been a legitimate handicapping rule in the 80s and 90s. It's not in 2020. But I will say this one. Teams that are off a Monday night game on the road and are on the road the next week have only gone 5-11 since 2012. That's 31%. So KC is off a Monday night road game. KC is the only time the NFL scheduled a team this year off a Monday night road game with another road game on deck. 2 more real quick. Hot team versus cold team. If we have a team that lost as the favorite playing a team that won as a dog, and now they're a single-digit home favorite. So both New England and the Rams lost as a favorite last week, and they are a single-digit home favorite this week. Both San Francisco and Chicago won as a dog. So the team as a single-digit home favorite, like New England and the Rams, have gone 4-24 against the spread off that loss as a favorite, only 14.3%.
Wow.
And last one, this one surprised the hell out of me. I was expecting a negative number when I looked this up. We know Cincinnati had a big lead last week and blew that big lead. So I looked up teams since 1989, the last 32 years, that have had a 14-point lead after the first quarter and lost the game. You have a sizable lead. You expect to win that game up 14 after the first quarter. You lose that game. In the last 32 years, those teams have bounced back to cover 59% of the time. So that is Cincinnati. And I will say this, since 1989, if you blew that 14-point lead and you lost the game, and now you're facing a division foe like the Bengals are, 26 ATS wins, 8 ATS losses, 77% against the spread.
Outstanding stuff. Ralph Michaels with his TNA, and you guys can hear him every day, 12 to 1 Eastern on Wager Talk today. Matt, anything to add to that?
No, I was just looking at the big news about the Antonio Brown that Adam Schefter just tweeted that the Seahawks, among other teams, are going to be interested once he comes off the commissioner's exempt list in Week 8.
Oh, well, there we go. Let's see what happens. I don't know why the Seahawks would need him, but what do I know? Let's get to it, boys. Start with Thursday Night Football. Philadelphia -4.5 against the Giants. Giants got it done. 1 win in their column. That might be it. Ralph, you seem very excited.
Matt, I always have to congratulate Matt. The Eagles only a half a game out of first place, buddy. You're right there.
I'll get you back when we talk about the Browns. It's okay.
Well, okay, so can I get back into the show? Because I know we only have 3 hours to do it. Anyway, bottom line for me here is, I like the Eagles last week. I told you guys, literally my analysis was I like the Eagles to cover over Baltimore, and I don't know why. Well, they did. And I think they cover this game too, Matt. Look, I know they're banged up. I know they're not that great a team. But I think the Giants are god-awful. They've got their win. I don't see them rolling out a whole lot of wins. I think they're going to sit and think, we're really good. We got ourselves a win. Now they're going into Philly, as Ralph said, half a game out of first place in the division. I don't know, man. I'm going right back to the well. I like Philly. I like them a lot. Matt?
I don't know how you can like Philly a lot. I mean,
They're
look,
playing
I
the
think
Giants.
I understand that, but I think a lot of what they did in the second half against the Ravens was smoke and mirrors because I think Baltimore said, all right, we're going to win this game. We're ready for our bye week and the Steelers and everybody else. I'm glad I didn't take the under in the Eagles team total again because I wanted to, and I would have lost because somehow this team is scoring against the Steelers and the Ravens. I'll tell you this. I want you to put a little sprinkle down if your sports book has it. Jalen Hurts is scoring a touchdown tomorrow. Mark it down. Don't put a lot because it could be wrong, but I'm just saying if you get some odds on Jalen Hurts to score a touchdown, sprinkle just a little tiny bit, and then hopefully it happens. But I don't know. I can't figure this Eagles team out. I mean, their defense is okay. Daniel Jones could have 4 turnovers, or Daniel Jones could rush for 100 yards and a touchdown in this game. I'm just going to – the fan in me hopes that the Eagles win. I'll play some props in this thing. I might look at Evan Ingram, even though he kind of disappears in that offense because the Eagles can't cover tight ends. But to me, I'm just going to watch and wait for Jalen Hurts to score a touchdown and hopefully get to gloat on Friday.
Ralph, as I said, I like the Eagles. I also like the under. I'm going to be betting both the Eagles and the under. I don't see Daniel Jones getting 100 yards on the ground at all. I think the front seven of Philly are pretty good. What do you like in this game?
Well, the under's the only way I could go. I mean, I look at it and on paper, I mean, the Eagles have such a better team, but their offensive line is such a mess. It's hard to back them, especially laying over a field goal. But then you look at the Giants. I did a database and it came up funny. I don't think there's been a team that hasn't topped 500 yards in the last 20, topped 300 yards their first 6 games. The New York Giants have not topped 300 yards yet this year. They have not topped, the 20 points are misleading against Washington. But then you look at Philadelphia, and Matt, you are totally on base. They were shut out in the first half. Wentz was sacked 3 times. They had negative pass yards. They had, 70 yards in the first half against Baltimore. Baltimore had a 17-0 lead. They come out of halftime. Baltimore's thinking about their next game, playing prevent defense. And there's sometimes when you have a comfortable lead, you look past your opponent, you come out the second half, and you are so flat that no matter what happens, you can't get caught back up again. I mean, that happened with Dallas and Atlanta. That's how Dallas came back in that game against the Falcons, because the Falcons were so confident and then came out so flat. So to me, Prez, I agree with you with the under. I am not going to have a side on this game because Philly looks that much better to me. I think Philly looks that much better on paper. But when your one game was at San Francisco that you've won and you only put up 267 yards and you got outgained by 150 yards, that's a pass for me. Lean under.
Matt, really quick, because we are always looking for these consensus plays. What are your thoughts on the total?
I mean, I would go with the under too, but the Eagles are scoring points. I mean, even if it was the second half against the Ravens, I mean, the Steelers, they scored a bunch of points on too, and that was a close game. So I could see your logic on the under. I would lean to the under, but I'm not going to go to the window with it.
Matt Joseph with us. You can find him at sportsmember.com. The master of props, Ralph Michaels as well, Mr. TNA. Guys, Cincinnati, Cleveland. Man, I was going bananas for Cincinnati. I had a teaser play with Indianapolis, so I did want Indianapolis to win for my clients, but then I was riddled because I'm in the Survivor contest, and I had Miami, so I didn't care. And then Indy was down. I was like, oh, my God, half the Survivor contest is on Indy. $1 million goes to the winner. They pulled it out. And you know what? Phillip Rivers actually looked the best he's looked all year. I still think he's got a dead arm, but he was able to get the ball downfield. Now Cincinnati hosting Cleveland. And, man, my 5% was on the over in the Cleveland game last week with Pittsburgh. Cleveland was horrific. They averaged over 30 yards a game until last week, where they put up pretty much nothing. The game was so slow moving, but I'm going right back, Matt. I'm going right straight back to the over in this game as well. 50.5 feels like a 40 in this day and age. I think we're going to get a lot of scoring. That's where my mind is at.
Well, it's a rematch. 35-30, the Browns won this game back in week 2. It was a Thursday night game. It was Joe Burrow's first Thursday night experience. Threw the ball 60 times. Only got sacked twice, I think, 2 or 3 times. Didn't look terrible in the game. I mean, I hate to gloat about this one thing, but I mean, last week I said I needed to see the Browns do something, and they didn't do it. And guess what? I still don't believe in the Browns. I'm leaning to the Bengals here. The thing that's going to keep me off it here is a couple things. One, the Bengals are 0-11-1 in their last 12 games decided by 7 points or less. Winning is something you have to develop. You can't just all of a sudden become a winner, so that concerns me. And you've got some grumbling. There's a story in the Cincinnati Enquirer about how Geno Atkins and Carlos Dunlap are frustrated with their roles. And if this team starts losing and some of the veterans in the locker room start grumbling even more, you might have some issues for the Cincinnati Bengals. We talked about it a little bit last week. T. Higgins is averaging just under 8 targets per game his last 5 outings. That was even with A.J. Green making a resurgence last week. So T. Higgins is going to be on my radar. And Austin Hooper is too. He's starting to get used a lot by the Browns. But to me, I'm going Bengals money line here. Screw the 3 points. I'm going Bengals money line here because I just don't trust the Browns, and they're too schizophrenic for me to believe they're going to win this game that they probably should win.
Ralph, before we get to you, urgent breaking news live on the NFL Presidential Address. Somebody hit the wrong button, and we have 1 thumbs down. Whoever that is, you made a mistake. Head over, fix it, and hit the like button. Thank you. Ralph, what do you like in this one?
You know, if we go back to last week's show, I said, again, being from Cleveland, I said that the Browns-Steelers rivalry is in the Browns' head. Them going to Pittsburgh, losing 16 straight games was in their head. I said I couldn't bet Cleveland because of that. So I was with you, Matt, in that respect. I will also say this. The only 2 teams with a semblance of the defense that Cleveland had to go play on the road was Baltimore, that they scored 6 and lost by 32, Pittsburgh, that they scored 7 by 38. But this team doesn't have a defense. This defense is much closer to the Dallas version than it is the Pittsburgh and Baltimore version. You know, I do have one more angle I wanted to throw out. Prez, this is going to go against your total, but I do want to share it with our viewers. When an NFL team has to play back-to-back division games on the road, like Cleveland does, they are 70% to the under the last 15 years.
Wow.
So, and again, does that make sense? Absolutely. Back-to-back games against division foes that you're comfortable with, you get vanilla. Matt, I'm going to go against you here. I don't think Cincy's anywhere near the same semblance or Pittsburgh or Baltimore on the road. I think you made a great point. I've said it numerous times. You know, especially when you have a young team trying to win on the road. I said it with the Cardinals. You have to learn to win on the road before you can cover as an away favorite. Same thing with Cincinnati. Yeah. They just have to learn to win games and cover those games and win division games. Yeah, they beat Jacksonville by 5. Jacksonville's one of the 2 or 3 worst teams in the league. So I'm going to go opposite with you here. I think the Browns are this. I think it was in their heads. Once Baker threw that pick 6, it was a game that just imploded. Yeah. And I think I'm going to throw out those results and say the Browns lost to a better team on the road. I don't think Cincinnati is a better team. I do like Cleveland to bounce back.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ralph. I prefer the over, but if I had to bet the side, I agree 100%. And, you know, good luck to you, Matt. I don't think I'm going to get to the window with Cleveland. So, hey, if you're holding a Cincy money line ticket, I'm happy to cheer for you. Dallas going in to play the soccer team. It's a pick 'em now. 46 is the total. Shoot me in the head, Ralph. I'll go to you first. But, man, I love Dallas here.
Yeah, well, you know, I am one that looks at line value, and I'm looking right now. Before the season started in the summer, this was only a 6-point line. I thought it would have been higher than that. In my mind, yeah, in my mind, I would have thought Dallas was higher. So I'll just move on with that. But you know, that's how far Dallas has fallen, 5.5 points. I think Washington's the team we expected. You know, how many times after 6 games can you say, well, listen, if Washington wins, They're going to be tied for first place in the division. If Washington loses, they're in second place for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
I mean, really,
Win-win.
you don't know what you're going to do with the season until, this game pans out. But to me, you look at what the Cowboys did against Arizona. You had no Collins, you had no Smith, you had no Looney on the offensive line, then you lose another guy.
Yeah.
You were without 4 starters on the offensive line in the second half. That's just why you got run out, and that's why Dalton looked so bad. But again, we know Washington has a D-line. It surprised the heck out of me when I looked at Washington that, they do have some injuries on the D-line. They started off with 13 sacks the first 3 games. They've only had 3 sacks the last 3 games. Now, I will say this. It was Baltimore, it was the LA Rams, and they were at the Giants, so that's part of the reason they fell back. Despite watching that game and Dallas looking at as ugly as they are, on paper, I still have Dallas as the better team by a couple points. And in basically a pick 'em roll, I have to agree with you, Prez. My eye test says the Dallas Cowboys are better than the Washington football team.
Yeah, and you know what, Ralph? It's really been about how bad the defense on Dallas has been. I mean, obviously they didn't score much Monday night. Zeke really let them down. Just two drives that were going very well, and he just fumbled the ball. But the Dallas D actually did step up, and especially in that first half, I thought they were much better. I agree with you on Washington's. Go ahead, Ralph.
I do have one more number. Dallas is turning the ball over at a historic rate. 5, 8, 9. They are minus 13 turnovers the last 5 weeks. All right, that's going to set a record if they keep going on. If you look at Dallas on paper, now this was with Dak Prescott, not Andy Dalton this week, but I think Andy Dalton with a start under his belt, and if Ezekiel starts running, Dallas is number 7 in the NFL at plus 54 yards per game. So the statistical profile says Dallas should favored by 3.5 or 4 points in this game. Sorry, Matt.
Matt, take over, my brother.
Well, so here's the thing. So the last couple of years, the Washington football team had been in Richmond for training camp. And so I've been broadcasting out there, and we do the schedule. And every year I would pick the Washington football team, the Redskins then, to win this game. And they never did. And I feel like it's like Groundhog's Day because I want to go there. I mean, the underlying numbers for Washington are pretty good. They're 64.7% in the red zone. It was 48.8% last year. Zeke's got the fumbling issue. You've got the grumbling of the anonymous people. And look, Mike McCarthy not working out is not surprising to me. You've got the backup of one of the offensive linemen, Brandon Knight, getting knee surgery. Zach Martin's questionable due to a concussion. The only positive for Dallas is Randy Gregory's coming off the commission's exempt list. I don't think I'm getting to the window in this game, but my lean's to the home team in this one. There's a lot of problems in Dallas, and Washington's offense, worst comes to worst, Kyle Allen's terrible, and Alex Smith comes in and saves the day again. So I lean to Washington, but by the way, this might be, depending upon which way you lean, this might be a perfect game to throw in your teaser because I feel like neither of these teams are going to win by 6 or more, don't you think?
I think Dallas is going to win by Dallas is going to make my card. Flat out, I am betting Dallas, guys. I just want to point out, we had a guy in the chat room, Adam Gamez. It literally has just been saying Ralph Michaels over and over for the last 5-10 minutes. I mean, I know he might think it's funny, but it really kills the chat. What the hell is wrong with you people? I mean, some of you go and you hit the thumbs down like you're children. If you don't like the show, just leave. Then some of you come into the chat room and go on and on and on and on ad nauseum like I am, Ralph. Nobody can see what it says. It just looks blank, Ralph. So
it actually is blank, Prez, but at least you understand that's to keep you on track for the 1 hour.
I can still go off a little bit, bro. What do you want me to talk about, Zoom Dick again, or we spent too much time on Wager Talk today on that?
How about talking the NFL? It is called the Presidential NFL Address.
Okay. So let's go. Atlanta, Detroit, minus 2.5 for Atlanta. Both teams got it done last week. I was so mad at myself. Oh, my God. Matt, I have not bet against Atlanta in 2 years. I finally bet against Atlanta. I love Detroit. Couldn't pull the trigger. They won. Now they face each other, and Man, I like the over in this game. I know it's 56.5. I can't stand that, but both of these teams can score, and they can score in bunches. I think we're going to get a game into the 60s. I don't believe in Atlanta's defense, but I do their offense, and conversely, the exact same thing for Detroit. I like over the total. It's on my short list.
Well, I mean, so DeAndre Swift looked really good last week for the Lions, and he's facing a Falcons team that have an NFL high 328 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns allowed by running backs. So to me, I'm looking at DeAndre Swift's receiving receptions and receiving yards in this one. The Falcons are so bad defensively. 5.25 yards, or excuse me, the Lions, are 5.25 yards per carry allowed against running backs. Todd Gurley could have a huge game in this one. And here's the problem. If there's two sides that have really good run games going in this game, there's going to be clock that runs. I lean to the Lions here. That number's too high in the total. I can't get to that over here because both offenses are certainly capable of laying eggs. But I lean to the Lions here a little bit. I think Matt Stafford, we talked about in the preseason, I'm a big Matt Stafford guy, and I think he has a good game in this one.
Yeah, and I can see it, brother. I can see it. Ralph, what do you like?
Well, Prez, I was looking up a number as you guys were talking, and you hate that number is so big, but I can tell you this. In the last 32 years in the NFL, when there's been a total of 56 or higher, those games have gone over 60.8% of the time. So 61%. There's a reason they go that high. And I'll tell you what, a lot of times with those high totals, there's value. Up until this year, bookmakers were afraid to put out totals of 55. They put them out at 54 and they got bet up. They're still to that stage now because the totals went 4 and 11 over under last week, that they don't want to put them that high. They'd rather have them bet up a little bit. But they don't know how high to put them. I think this total should be 59. I think there's actually value with 56.5 or 57, but they're not going to open a number that high. So while, yes, it's high, again, it's one that I actually lean with the over. I'm not going to get to the window. I do like Atlanta, and the reason is simple for me. Was the reason Atlanta was so much better last week because Julio Jones was back? I absolutely think so. I think he makes that much of a difference to stretch the field, to then allow them to pass short passes, and you're 30 or 40 for 363 yards because of that. So to me, looking Detroit back-to-back road games, Atlanta now has that win under the belt. This is a talented team. When we were talking about it, the funny thing is when we were doing the presidential address going through those divisions, of the two teams in the NFL I had the most trouble power rating was Atlanta and Detroit. Now they're facing each other. I think Atlanta gets it done. Their defense has been poor as far as the pass attack goes, but it's because people have been passing early or passing late. That Dallas game, they gave up all those in the second half. When you look at Atlanta, had the Minnesota lead 20-0, pass yards in the second half. Against Chicago, they had that 16-10 lead, pass yards in the second half. The Seattle game was just Russell Wilson throwing all the time. I like Atlanta.
Ralph, you made such a great point about the overs going over those big totals. One of the things that I've always done, but not this year because the totals are just so skewed this year, I've always bet the highest totals over and the lowest totals under. And the reason for that
Totally agree with that.
Sorry, Ralph?
Totally agree with that philosophy.
Yeah, and you can literally take the 3 highest totals. So, for instance, the Seattle game this week, this game, the game we're talking about right now, and the Detroit-Atlanta game, and one other, we'll get to it. And you bet all 3 over. You take the lowest 3 totals. You bet them all under. You are going to have a winning year. And the reason is exactly what Ralph is saying. The bookmakers, you're not going to see a 60. And yet some of them need to be 60s. You're not going to see. I mean, look, we go back a few years. And I used to say very rare a game is under 33. 33, 34 was really the floor. 51, 52 was really the ceiling. And like you said, there are just teams that go over those numbers, games, and games that go under the 34, 35. So, guys, take a look at that. because I'm telling you, if you focus on the lowest totals under and the highest over, you will have yourselves a winning football season. Carolina, New Orleans, -7.5 for the Saints coming off of a bye. Carolina did not get it done last week. Teddy Bridgewater coming back. Does he know the defense? Does New Orleans know him? There's both sides can be argued. With that said, I cannot take the Saints with a hook here, Matt. I like Carolina. I like them a lot. I think this is going to be a close game. I don't buy into the Saints.
I think I lean to the under here. I think that the Saints are going to be healthier. Janoris Jenkins is going to play, most likely. Marshawn Lattimore is going to play. That's their two best corners. Some of the other guys on the defense that were banged up are going to return. Michael Thomas is going to return, but I still don't think he's going to magically open up this offense for the Saints.
Well, he did, Matt. He did. When they played Detroit with Michael Thomas in, they were a whole different football team offensively. So be careful on that.
But Michael Thomas didn't play against the Lions this year.
Yeah, when they actually won by a shit ton. No, I was on Detroit.
I'm pretty sure there was no Michael Thomas that game. So can you look that up, Ralph? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Michael Thomas only was 3 of 17 against Tampa, and I don't have him playing.
Oh well, then my bad.
Yeah,
my bad.
Yes.
Rewind.
Okay, I don't think this team is going to be one of those automatic 30, 35 points every year like they've been in the past. So to me, I think there's value in the under. There's going to be 3,000 fans there. That's not going to make that much of a difference, but at least they're starting to get towards fans here. And I don't have faith in the Panthers offense as much. They're not going to have Christian McCaffrey this week. So I think this is an underplay here. The Saints are just not that team that's going to get you to 30 points. And the Panthers, maybe they get to 20 here and we see like a 27-20 type game to get you your cover in the under.
Okay. And yes, G pointed out that I'm wrong. Okay. I'm wrong. It does happen. I wish that it didn't happen as often as it does, but well, it happens. Ralph.
Shit, it happens to all of us. I was doing videos with Koken and I couldn't think of a damn player that, So, when you're getting into a conversation and delving in deep, those things do occur. It pains me, Prez, but I agree with you. I like Carolina here. So, I'm going to throw out some stats, meaningful or not, I don't know. Let's remember Teddy Bridgewater is 20 wins and 4 ATS losses as a dog when he starts games. Is that relevant? Yeah, to me it is relevant. He knows how to handle the situation as an underdog. If they get behind, he keeps them focused and he keeps them trying to score. He keeps the games close. Does he know the Saints? Do the Saints know him? Well, let's remember that, the Panthers OC Brady also coached for Peyton all those years. So, he knows the personnel very well. You look at the Saints, and they are not a dominant home team. When they are a division home favorite of 6 or more, they have gone 2-10 since 2014. They don't blow out their opponents. Then you look at the Saints, they got road games against Chicago and Tampa Bay on deck. To me, it's let's win this game, let's get out of Dodge, let's worry about playing 2 incredible defenses on the road, outdoors, on grass the next few weeks. I like Carolina.
Yeah, great stuff. Guys, I want to give out a promo for you all. We're running a promo, $49 for 3 days of anybody's plays. You can use it at Sports Memo, SM49. You can use it at Wager Talk, WT49. Normally, it's $69 for 3 days. Only $49. So check that out. WT49 SM49. And also a massive shout out to all of you guys who watched the NFL Presidential Address last week and took advantage of the on-the-spot promo that Ralph came up with for mid-major Matt. It was really, Ralph, it was used by so many people that you actually got in shit.
Yeah, the higher ups thought it was a little too low, but you know what? We have to get you associated to PBG. So, that's my nickname for Matt, player prop guru. So, get accustomed to PPG and find those winning ways.
Matt, worst nickname ever, but that's okay. People are calling Ralph the Pen. I don't know if that's a good nickname either. So anybody, guys, thank you so much for being with us halfway through. Joey N.O., Michael Nichols, thank you so much. Johnny Outlaw, Believer, Chris Hunter, Las Vegas. Chris, is that you? Nice to have you here. Bills Mafia, you as well. Lance, we just love having all of you. And speaking of Lance, my parents wanted to name me Lance instead of Lawrence. I probably would have preferred it. I don't really like my name, but what can you do? Yeah, Ralph, show the paper, Ralph. Okay. Buffalo, New York Jets, minus 13, 45.5. I mean, look, Buffalo has not played well offensively the last 2 weeks. Josh Allen isn't himself. I cannot lay this type of number, even though I think this is a perfect game for Josh Allen and the Buffalo team to right their ship. I'm regretfully, Matt, staying away from this game.
I mean, you could play the same tape every time we talk about the Jets because it's the same bets for me. The under, they've actually adjusted the team total. It's now 16.5. It's still not low enough for me to not go the under. I mean, I'd like to get to 17. If your book does have a 17, that's even better. But the first book I saw had 16.5, so I'm going under there. And then I'm going back to Jamison Crowder. Going back to the start of last year, the top 5 wide receiver performances against the Bills have been Jarvis Landry, Cooper Kupp, and Jamison Crowder 3 times. That includes the time, I believe he had 14 catches way back in week 1. So to me, I'm going with the over on Jamison Crowder receptions. I'm taking the under on the Jets team total. And the other thing to consider here is Bills have the Patriots up next. So if you're thinking about the Bills, maybe the first half or the first quarter, maybe some sort of 3-quarter bet. I'm sure no one offers that, but this is a Bills team that could have one eye on Foxborough and the Patriots up next. It's not in Foxborough, but they'll at least be looking at the Patriots. So Jets team total under, Jamison Crowder over on receptions.
Yeah, and I always like the Jets team total under. I mean, that's just been easy money. Somebody just asked why Adam Gase still has a job. Easy answer, Trevor Lawrence. They don't want to upset the apple cart. They're going to keep him all the way to the end. Why galvanize the team? Why bring him together under a new coach and actually get a W? That ain't going to help anybody. Ralph, I want to play Buffalo, man. I just don't have the balls. Do you?
Yeah. You know, I talked about those numbers. You know, to me, it's Buffalo and the under and the team Jets under. You know, while you say Allen has had a couple down games, they had 370 yards against Tennessee. The only reason they lost there, -3 turnovers, and kept turning the ball over. And then you have a Kansas City defense that you're playing in the pouring rain against a very improved Tennessee defense that you were playing from behind the whole game. So I don't think their offense has been that bad. I think they get it done. You know, I think that you look at the Jets. You know, the Jets' high on the season is 321 yards against Denver. The Jets' high first downs, 18 first downs. We are 6 weeks in, and the highest first down total they've had was 18. To me, not sure if I'll get to the window with the Bills. I'm thinking about it because I'm not going to be scared off the Bills off back-to-back losses. If the Bills were off a win against Kansas City and having New England on deck, I could see the sandwich situation playing the Jets, the helpless Jets. But off back-to-back losses and knowing that New England lost and is sitting at 2-3, I think it's absolutely we are not worried about New England next week at all. We are not worried about Seattle in 2 weeks. It is circle the wagons. Let's blow out the Jets. You know, I may do this. I may go -7 the first half in case they get up by like 20 and give up a garbage touchdown late. I think the first half may be the better bet -7, or you may have to get to 7.5. But I think I'll be on that.
He's Ralph Michaels. You can find him at wagertalk.com. Matt Joseph at Sports Memo. And Matt, Gary J writes, player props are for losers who can't pick spreads. That might be one of the stupidest comments ever put in. Gary J, I do love you. I'm not insulting you, just your dumbass comment. That would be the equivalent of saying people who make money in gold are losers because stocks are the best. People People who buy mutual funds are idiots because they should buy gold instead. Dude, a win's a win. If you got a chance to find a win, then you make, oh, shut up, Ralph. Then you do it. And Mid-Major Matt is incredible at these props. He makes money every week, and he ain't no loser. Green Bay, Houston. -3.5 for Green Bay, 57 on tap. Here is the third biggest over. I don't know what to do in this game. Green Bay looked terrible against Tampa Bay. Frankly, they gave up. Aaron Rodgers, his body language, once it became 10-7, they were still up, Green Bay. And he just quit. Houston, man, they looked good against Tennessee. They've turned the corner. But I think this is a stay-away game for me. I wish I had something, but I don't. Matt?
So I actually have a question for both of you guys. This is unconventional, I know, but what if because I think the Packers are going to bounce back. It's hard to bet against Aaron Rodgers playing poorly in 2 straight games. The Texans present no sort of resistance whatsoever. They give up over 400 yards per game at 47% third down percentage, and they allow almost 4 touchdowns per game. But what if, and this is unconventional, and I know you're going to tell me about the losing a number thing, but what if you tease the Packers from a favorite to an underdog? How big of a no-no would that be for somebody who might want the comfort of knowing Packers may lose, but if they lose a close game, I at least win the teaser. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, not in a million
My thought
years. Sorry, Ralph.
Don't do that. Take the Packers, bet them on the money line, and just give the extra odds with the money line.
You cannot tease past 0. In an isolated incident, in an isolated environment, it might work. I mean, look, Green Bay might lose the game by 2 points, and you'll be like, oh, man, I should have teased. No, it's never about that one particular bet. This is a long-term situation. Math is crucial to winning. You have to look at this long-term. I agree 100% with you, Ralph. If you think 3.5 is too high, bet them on the money line. At least you don't cross 0 and give a full point away. Never, ever, ever, ever. Anyway.
Matt, just basically, I mean, on a 6-point teaser, you're only getting 5. So you're giving away 16.7% of your value. I mean, so that's just the mathematical part. Anytime you're losing 16% of value, we know what that's worth. So go ahead, guys.
Okay, so what are we doing in this game, Matt?
All right. Well, we're to me. Okay, I will say this. I had to look up how many teams have given up 600 yards in an NFL game. In the last 32 years, it's happened 17 times. So it happens once every 2 years. The Houston Texans gave up 601 yards and 31 first downs. I will say this. Those teams are 10, and the last 14 since 2004 have gone 10-4 ATS the week after allowing over 600 yards. Not going to get to the window. Still like Green Bay. I have Green Bay power rated as 3, so I have them power rated right where their number is. It was funny to watch Aaron Rodgers look like a rookie quarterback after throwing that pick 6 and him falling apart, and then throwing another pick 6. So Aaron Rodgers has shown he is human, but if I'm going to bet on anyone to bounce back after a game, it's going to be Aaron Rodgers losing that game, only putting up 201 yards. Let's remember, this Tampa team, I mean, you are talking top and bottom as far as defenses in the NFL goes. So from going to Tampa Bay, a team allowing 347 yards, to a team that's allowing 423 yards and 26 first downs per game. Lean Green Bay, not getting to the window with it.
Ralph, I got a really interesting question from Nick that we're going to talk about, and then we'll get back into the games. He writes, Prez, man, love the show, especially you. You're the greatest of all time. Thanks, Nick.
That part's not
there. I made
there.
that part up, Matt. I know. You bastard. Have you ever seen a correlation between favorites and unders and dogs and overs hitting together? It's interesting, and I'm going to go first, Ralph, but I want to hear your take on this. The correlation is 100% there. I just don't see it the way you see it. I see the correlation between favorites and overs and dogs and unders, but I do look at that stuff all the time. I might release 5 plays, 3 to 5 plays, give or take, on a Sunday to my clients, but I'm usually betting more. And I give you an example of that. If you take a look at this Atlanta game, Atlanta minus 2.5, Detroit 56, I'd like to isolate that down to one thing only. Can Atlanta hit 28? Can Atlanta hit 30? If Atlanta hits 30 points, I'm guaranteed a 1-1 day. I'm at the worst. So I like to correlate my favorites with my overs and my dogs with my unders. And I like to get that one variable where I can just say to myself, can a team get 28, 26, 20, 30, etc., etc.? So I love the concept, but I don't see it the way you do. Ralph?
I don't pigeonhole myself into that. There are certainly teams that, as a favorite or a dog, I will look over under, but I don't look at it as a whole. Prez, I'm going to just go back to your statement real quick. Maybe you don't look at it. Maybe you're talking about wager talk where some people can't get the plays. But if your focus is on a team that is going to reach a certain total, why not just bet that team total?
Because I am a gambler and I will never quit going for 2-0 instead of 1-0.
All right, fair enough.
Ralph, Matt, right now I have one consensus play written down, and that's the under in Philadelphia. Have I missed anything?
Nope.
Okay, let's get going, boys.
Oh, yeah, you have. You have Jets team total under.
Yeah, we'll just make that a mandatory consensus play. I'm going to write that down now, even though I didn't even agree. I agree now. Okay, let's go to the next game. Seattle, Arizona, a doozy, another monster total in the 56 zone. Seattle minus 3.5 coming off of a bye. I am absolutely in love with the Seattle team. I bet them to win the Super Bowl 3 weeks ago. I think they're the best team in the NFC by far. I think they're probably the second or third best. Yeah, Ralph, I do. I think they're better than Green Bay. I think they're better than Tampa Bay. I know this is going to blow you away, I even think they're better than the Philadelphia Eagles.
Your defense is last in football. You're allowing 471 yards per game. You are the 30. There's 32 teams, Prez, in the NFL. You are number 31 at minus 75 yards per game, and you're calling them the best team in the. Oh my God, that's
you have kids, right?
I have one son. Yes.
So, Matt, you don't have kids, but the way it works for me when I play with my kids, I always give them a head start. And that's how I see Seattle. They're like the parent of the NFC. They're like, hey, score again, score. Don't worry. Put up 80. We'll put up 82. And with that said, I mean, that's a joke. But, Ralph, mark my words. Write this down with your pen. Seattle will have fixed their defense by the time the playoffs start. Anyway, I like Seattle, and I like the over. I'm likely not going to bet either, though, because I'm a wimp. Matt?
Well, I need to know about Jamal Adams. Obviously, he's a big part of this Seahawks defense, and maybe he helps a little bit. But to me, I mean, last year the Cardinals had the Seattle's number. I mean, Russell Wilson threw for 409 passing yards in 2 games against them last year. I think the Cardinals can use this as use Monday night as some sort of get right because, Kyler Murray had been just okay the past couple of games. I think he gets some confidence here. I think at home, that helps the fact that they played on Monday night. So at least they're staying home. I know Ralph did all the TNA stuff in the beginning, but at least the Cardinals are not traveling after that Monday night game. Of course, they just finished 3 straight road games, so they wouldn't be traveling. I mean, I kind of like the Cardinals here. I'm not going to get to it, and I'm a little leery on the total. I'm not as gung-ho about the over here, too. It's hard to figure out when teams are really hot, when they're playing well, at least offensively, if the bye hurts the momentum. I don't think it will in Seattle, but it's something to consider. They could get Philip Dorsett back for his debut with the Seattle Seahawks. They might get some other guys who were banged up, so it'll be interesting to see what the Seahawks do, but I kind of lean to the Cardinals here.
Fair enough. Ralph?
I lean with the Cardinals here. Kyler Murray's a better quarterback when he's running the ball. Yards per game diff. I don't care what your offense is. I don't care what your defense is. The diff it's what matters. Seattle, number 31. Arizona, number 6. You're giving me number 6 against number 31, and I'm a home dog, and I've already taken care of you. And the Cardinals are 5-1 against the Seahawks, and know they could beat them. I'm on Arizona.
Yeah, and look,
wrong team favorite.
Ralph, I get it. I mean, I'm high on Seattle, but I don't want to touch them in this game. Guys, I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you saw the email that the higher ups, well, I'm one of them, sent everybody at Wager Talk. But since yesterday, all our shows, every now and then, we need to do a hand check. So please, a hand check. Okay, Ralph. There we go. Okay, just checking. Okay.
I don't get it.
What?
I don't get it.
Oh, it's another bad joke. Let's move on.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Prez. Come on. God bless. Let's talk NFL.
Dude, I'm talking NFL. See, San Fran, New England -2. Man, did they look shit. San Fran 44, but yeah, I mean, New England, they didn't practice much that week. San Fran looked awesome. I love San Fran in this spot. They're on my short list, Matt. I can see myself betting them. I likely will be betting San Fran. Talk me off of it.
Am I supposed to believe in San Francisco all of a sudden and forget the fact they looked awful against the Eagles and the Dolphins, but just because they beat the Rams?
Dude, Matt, they were injured beyond, like they were the most injured team in the league. Maybe Philadelphia is up there with them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
But I mean, they had major injuries. This is a team that went to the Super Bowl, bro. Yeah, I think you can believe in San Fran, and I think they're more than capable of riding that ship. And honestly, I don't know how you can believe in the Patriots. So yeah, the answer is yes.
Even done. I didn't even get to finish saying what I was going to say. I mean, I'm predisposed after a Patriots loss to bet on the Patriots, and the reason why they didn't win last week, was because they had like 2 practices before playing the Broncos, and they basically came out and said, yeah, we should beat them, and that's how they played. I don't see that kind of effort here. If there's ever a team that would know what Jimmy G's weaknesses are, it would be the New England Patriots. It'll be interesting to see if David Andrews, for that offensive line, comes off IR and plays. Shaq Mason was on the COVID list, so that helps. If they get those 2 offensive linemen back, that's going to be huge for Cam Newton, who was constantly under pressure last week against a mediocre Denver rush. I'm just predisposed here to bet on Belichick after a normal week of practice, not like last week. And I kind of lean to the Patriots here. I've seen a lot of people say they like the 49ers, which scares the crap out of me. But I think the Patriots here are a decent bet. And I might let you guys bet this thing down and get it close to a pick.
Oh, yeah. I'll just bet it down for you, Matt. Ralph, what do you like?
Well, both teams have been so injured. You talk about San Francisco. Let's remember they were without 4 of their top 5 cornerbacks and without Jimmy G. So it wasn't some aberration that all of a sudden they became good. They just had a couple guys back, and they were enough to beat the Rams at home in a desperate situation. I look at New England, and there is a little bit more concern. I'm a huge center guy. If you're playing your first game with a backup center midseason, I will bet against you, period. And what happened was they had Ferentz in, the backup center, and he got hurt in the first quarter. So they had a third-string center out, and then another offensive lineman got injured. So they had 1 starting offensive lineman playing the last 3 quarters. That's why they look so bad. We talked about Mason maybe coming back. If they get back a couple of those guys, if they get back Ferentz back, I like New England. If you watch the TNA segment, though, that number really was eye-opening to me that, I was thinking I might get to the window, but that system, I'm just going to repeat it real quick. If you lost as the favorite like the Patriots did and the opposition won as a dog like San Francisco did, and now you're a single-digit home favorite like New England, since 2011, you have only covered 14.3% of the time. So there is something about momentum. You won as a dog. San Francisco has momentum. New England now has lost. These people here, people talked about Edelman not being the same. Well, it's because the relationship Edelman and Brady had. But you notice I didn't bring up off a loss, Prez, because this is a different Patriots team.
Yes.
They are under 500 for the first time since 2001 with at least 5 games into the season. So I'm concerned that this Patriots team is different. They don't have the mindset. And now they're trying to deal with losing for the first time without Brady there convincing them that it's all okay and we'll win today.
Yeah, I know. I love it, Ralph. Great stuff. Okay, Kansas City, Denver. KC minus 9.5, a total of 46. That's as low as you're going to get in a Kansas City game, but I get it. Denver's not going to light it up. Matt, I got to pass here. I can't play against Kansas City, and I can't take 9.5, especially with Denver feeling so good after that big win in New England last week. Where are you going?
Well, I also need Ralph. Does Ralph's database have snow statistics? Because there's
Yes,
supposed to be a lot of
there
snow
is.
potentially in this game.
Yeah,
so I need
that's
to
why
know.
the total plummeted 3 points because people were betting snow. 6 inches of snow expected during the game. Now, it's hard 3 days in advance to predict that, but, the total's already been bet down, so that value is gone.
So Denver, I think there's some value here with Denver. The last couple of weeks, they've started blitzing more, and they're getting more sacks, and they're forcing more turnovers. They expect to get Noah Fant, Melvin Gordon, and KJ Hamler back at practice, so that legitimizes their offense a little bit. And then also, there's a key here that A.J. Boye could come off of the IR this week, and he's a number one corner for them. He's a number 2 for most teams. DeMarcus Walker, a defensive lineman. And, it's a tough road trip here. It's a big number. I kind of lean to the Broncos here. They're going to be more used to the snow, and they're going to be more used to it, and they're home and everything. So it's a small lean to the Broncos here, only if a lot of these healthy guys play. I need Noah Fant to be that safety valve for Drew Lock. I need A.J. Boye to be that decent corner that for them, and I need Melvin Gordon out there to try and keep the ball away from the Chiefs. If those guys play, I would look at Denver in this one.
Ralph, before you get into it, I want to point out to everybody, you've been talking about the under in the first quarter of Kansas City games a lot on Wager Talk today. Cashed again and again and again and again. We got to go back to the well here again, Ralph. I mean, that under in the first quarter in Kansas City is free money right now.
Yeah, you think KC gets off to a quick start, but you didn't. On a Monday, on a Monday night play or that Thursday night game, I had a big play on it, and you're right. It does continue to win, and now you're looking at a Denver team that we just talked about, the New England offensive line that only had one starter. Well, that's why Denver's defense looked good. It's it's partially that. It's partially because of the circumstances you played. But, Drew Lock was 10 of 24. You're 10 of 24. You're not supposed to win ball games. So, to me, the way it happened, they had a fortunate win. Back-to-back wins against the Jets and a depleted New England team's not going to convince me. But I have no interest in betting KC either. The snow's a factor, and I will tell people this. People a lot of times like following line moves, and they think, okay, the Sharps hit this number because this is a huge underplay, and I gave some TNA on division away favorites unders. But if there's not wind, I don't give a shit about snow. Snow a lot of times helps the over.
It does.
So don't think, guys, that you're jumping on this total because of snow. Now, we saw that KC Buffalo game. That was miserable. 40 degrees and rain is much worse than snow. Anyone will tell you that. Players don't mind playing in fluffy white snow, if it's not windy. But when the side winds were at Kansas City, that is much worse than any snow situation. So total, when we get within 72 hours, you're going to start seeing the hour-by-hour predictions with the winds. Check the wind speed. Don't worry about the snow at the game.
Yeah, and Ralph, such a great point. And one of the things I've always done is if there's no wind, I like to bet the over on the snow. I mean, think about it logically, guys. You're a wide receiver. You run straight down the field. If you turn to the right or turn to the left, you know what you're doing. The defender is running backwards half the time. They got to make quick adjustments to moves that you knew you were going to make ahead of time. The slipping will happen on defense and not on offense. Ralph?
The government does do something well. Digital.weather.gov. They have an absolutely amazing wind map where you can hone in on the stadium and get as close as the stadium, see which direction the winds are coming from, and it gives you an hour by hour. So it's just digital.weather.gov. An amazing site for wind speed if you want to look at that.
4 to go. Tampa Bay, Las Vegas. Vegas coming off of a bye. 52-53 is the total. Tampa Bay -3.5. I don't like Tampa Bay in this spot at all. I like Las Vegas. I'll take the points. Matt, what do you think?
Well, I mean, we got to watch what's happening today. As of this show, the Raiders sent 5 offensive linemen home due to contact tracing for the Trent Brown situation. Trent Brown went on the COVID list, and they sent 5 offensive linemen. I think it's pretty much all the starting offensive linemen.
I love Tampa Bay.
Their status is... Well, I'm just saying it's something to watch. If you think the Bucs are going to win, and you might want to wait because this story comes out, and then, well, actually, no, you don't want to wait. Excuse me, I'm talking myself. If you like the Bucs, you probably should take it now, as before this story comes out, because I think if you find out the offensive line for the Raiders, they're going to be playing a lot of backups. I think that number is going to go up. So if you like the Bucs, you probably should take it now. I like the Ronald Jones stuff that we're probably going to see. He's had 3 straight 100-yard games. He's been impressive. I think that you can't go back to Leonard Fournette. You have to ride Ronald Jones the way he's played as of late. And by the way, the Raiders and the Browns are the only 2 teams with a winning record and a negative point differential. Derek Carr's got the 2nd passer rating in the NFL. I don't know how much that's going to continue. By the way, if you're looking at the Josh Jacobs props, the team swears that they're going to start giving Devontae Booker the ball more. So that might be something to look for when you look at Jacobs. And by the way, the Bucs just traded for Steve McClendon up front to replace Vita Vea, so that should help their defensive line. So I lean to the Bucs here, but I can't really make a play until I find out what's going on with this Raiders offensive line.
Great point, Matt, and I did not know that. Ralph.
Excuse me.
Hey, I do it all the time.
I like the Raiders with the O-line.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that. So I'm going to wait and see. And I'm not that worried. I mean, if the Raiders had played this week and you're getting sent home on Wednesday, not practicing Wednesday and Thursday, I'm worried. But since you had the bye week in there, I am much less worried if they come back. So, that's all I'm going to say on the game, because there's too many variables. How many are going to play? How many aren't? That it's a game that might change my opinion. Obviously, if you're missing 3 offensive lineman starters, I'm going to look at the under in the game. You have the number 1 defense. You have a team that Brady is happy to run the ball with Rondell Jones, like you said. You have the Raiders that want to try to run the ball against the best rush defense in the NFL. So under's a play for me. But even with the under, I want the offensive line healthy so a team doesn't fall behind and then you have to start throwing the ball. So it sounds funny. You would think, well, without the offensive line, you might want to. You don't like the under, but I want the offensive lineman there for the under to be able to run the ball and keep the game close so no one falls behind. And then again, garbage yards in the second half.
Hi, everybody. You're watching the NFL Presidential Address Week 7. We're the 2nd most watched show on the entire Wager Talk channel. Right behind Bet On It. Make sure to check that out. It goes up tonight. It's an unbelievable show. Marco, Kelly, and Gianni. It's must watch. And also, of course, Wager Talk today. Teddy covers and myself every single day, Monday to Friday, 12 to 1. Ralph Michaels on every day. Matt, you're on as a regular from here on in on Fridays. So congratulations.
Thank you.
We got rid of the other guy.
I don't know who the other guy is, but he's probably better than me. Who knows?
Not in props, bro. And honestly, it's such a beautiful niche segment. It worked out so well last Friday. So yes, everybody, the props actually get released Friday, Saturday. So Matt will have more information with props on the Friday show. Wager Talk today. Check it out. I'll bottom line this Charger-Jacksonville game. Won't take the Chargers -8. Can never play on Jacksonville. Really, really like the under here. I don't see where all these points are going to come from. The Chargers, by the way, Tyrod will never play for the Chargers again, Matt. You do know that, right?
Well, he is, because Herbert's going to get hurt.
Yeah, okay. If Herbert doesn't get hurt, he fully Tom Brady'd the guy.
I know.
Yeah, but anyway, look, Herbert's throwing the ball downfield. I get it. But the Chargers, I define that team as a team that really will play up or down to their competition. I think they're going to be slow moving here. I think they're going to be happy to get the win. 49 is massive. I'm all over the under, Matt.
Oh, I'll take half of that, and I'll take the under for the Jaguars team total. It looks like Melvin Ingram's going to come back for the Chargers off the injured reserve, and that's a pretty big piece for their defense. The Jaguars, since week 2, have not scored more than 1 touchdown in the first half. They're averaging just 8 points in the opening 30 minutes in their last 5 games, and they're only putting up 17 points a contest. And if you look at some of the teams that they've faced as of late, they've been some bad defenses. There's no reason why they shouldn't have put up more points against the Lions last week. And by the way, Doug Marrone gave the old, I don't know, maybe I might bench Gardner Minshew at some point. So that's a guy who's playing for his job potentially. There's a bunch of injuries in the Jaguars defense. Miles Jack, Josh Allen, the safety Gerard Wilson, they're all questionable. They've got some injuries to deal with. So I'm looking at the Jags team total under here, and I think Herbert could keep things going a little bit. So I'll take half of what you say with your under, and I'll take the Jaguars under.
Okay, and that makes total sense to me. We've already seen, this Charger defense is for real, even without Ingram. Ralph, talk to me.
Well, you know what, Prez? You know who Jacksonville is better than this year?
The Jets.
No,
The Eagles.
Jacksonville's minus 63 yards per game, so that puts them ahead of the Seahawks.
Okay, so you'll take them on a pick-em bet with me? Or you're just being lippy?
They don't play Seattle. I'm going to take a little bit of what Prez said. I'm going to take a lot of what Matt said, and I am going to take the Chargers first half. They had 301 yards in the first half against Kansas City at 14 points. They had 169 yards against Carolina. They had 24 points against Tampa Bay on the road. They had 20 points against the very good New Orleans team. This rookie played KC, Carolina, went to Tampa Bay, went to New Orleans, and still had that first half production. Matt talked about Jacksonville's first half production. I am going to back the Chargers here, first half play.
Love those first half plays, Ralph, and that makes so much sense, too. Okay, boys, Pittsburgh, Tennessee. I love this game. I love everything about it. And, Ralph, I'll go to you first and then give my thoughts.
Well, that's good because I don't like it. We talked about being undefeated and being at home. And, this Pittsburgh team looks so good about Cleveland. You know what my feelings are on that game. I think the game's a toss-up. And, I got burned last week. I gave out the under in KC Houston. In Houston, Tennessee. How stupid do I look? But I lean the under, and I don't have an opinion on the game. When someone reaches 600 yards in the NFL, it happens so infrequently. You don't know what to make of it and don't what comes out of it. But I think Pittsburgh's pretty high on themselves after that. Again, you got a big loss with Bush out in the middle. If you follow Pittsburgh, you know how important he is to that team. He really is a mainstay. So I'm going to pass and listen to you and Matt give strong opinions on this.
Matt, I like Tennessee in this spot. I like them a lot. They're going to probably be on my short list. With that said, I know a lot of really smart guys who like Pittsburgh here. What do you like?
I'm with Ralph here. There's things that put me on both teams, which means it's probably going to be a no play. Eventually, this has to catch up to Tennessee. I understand that they probably played on adrenaline, but they just played a game on Tuesday, and then they played essentially half of an extra quarter against Houston. I just feel like eventually it has to catch up to them. The Taylor Lewan loss is huge. He's Ryan Tannehill's blindside blocker. That's pretty big. And then Jonnu Smith, who knows what he's going to do now? I know they like the Ferkser kid, and he's okay, but he's not Jonnu Smith. And then Ralph mentioned it on the other side. Devin Bush is a huge loss, especially against a team like Tennessee who wants to run it and shove it down your throat. The Mike Hilton loss could be big. The slot corner, if he plays, if he doesn't play, that means Adam Humphries could be busy. But on the other hand, David DeCastro and Deontay Johnson could be back for Pittsburgh. You also get a lot of quotes from Pittsburgh that basically are grumbling they have to play this game because they've got the Ravens next week, and the Ravens have a bye week. Yeah. So you wonder about focus there. If the Pittsburgh's got one eye looking towards Baltimore next week, there's more things that would put me on Tennessee, but I'm so scared that eventually the adrenaline and everything has to run out with them playing all this football in the last 2 weeks or so.
And that's a fair statement. I just think Tennessee's a better team, and I think Pittsburgh, their schedule has just been an absolute joke. Granted, Cleveland's a better team than, probably in the top half of the league. But, I mean, this Pittsburgh team has played nobody.
Prez, I want to bring up one thing. Remember this. Because of the rescheduling the NFL, Pittsburgh came off 4 straight home games. The only time they played on the road was at the New York Giants week 1. And, oh, yeah, by the way, they only had 349 yards and 19 first downs against that Giants team. So it's very – I mean, it's so – you don't know what to make of the Steelers because they haven't gone on the road to face anybody this year, having come off 4 straight home games.
Guys, the Monday Night Football game, remember, everybody, it's $9 Mondays at Wager Talk and Sports Memo. So any play we have on that Monday Night Football game is only $9. The reason I say that, I have a 5% play up on that Monday night game. It is my favorite play so far this entire season. I will not even mention the names of the teams. I will say nothing. It's only $9 freaking dollars. If you like our show, you can donate the $9. Matt, what do you like?
I like the under here. The last 2 games in this series have gone 15-6 and 17-7. The Bears defense has allowed just 8 touchdowns so far this season. And everybody keeps saying, oh, the Bears, what are they doing? They're 5-1, but who have they beaten? What are they like? I think eventually you have to give credit to the Bears. Now, they have a non-existent run game. I mean, David Montgomery is supposed to do stuff, but they're one of the worst run games. Last week, they had 25 carries and 63 yards. I mean, you can't survive that way. Nick Foles needs a run game. But then you've got the Rams here who got undressed last week on primetime against, the 49ers. They might be changing kickers. They signed Kai Forbath. I don't know why that's the answer to anything. Sam Sloman's been okay. I like the under here, and I lean to the Bears. Nick Foles is just a winner. I mean, that's all he does is win. He's already beaten the Rams once in L.A. with the Eagles when Carson Wentz went down. Then I believe it was 1 or 2 years later he also beat them. So I lean to Bears in the under here.
MC wanted to know how we're doing on all the free picks that we give out. Oh, my God, MC, we'd have to hire someone to go through all of that. We literally give out a free pick every side, every total of every game. So, no, we don't. But maybe Superman does. Ralph, what do you like in Monday Night Football?
Well, I like the Rams look. I like the way they're playing this year. I think the run game with Goff and having the defense better, but what concerns me is this. Your wins are against Dallas, Philadelphia, the Giants, and Washington. So you've only beaten the NFC East, which, oh yeah, by the way, is 5-18-1 and the second worst division record in the history of the NFL. Since 1984, there's only been one other division that in week 5 has been 5-18-1 combined or worse. So your only wins are against the NFC East. So now you're playing a legitimate team with a legitimate defense. Again, I'm going to go back to that win dog, lose favorite angle, which again is a monster angle, which points towards the Bears. I do like the under, and I will agree with Matt on his logic with the under. You have a Chicago offense that has put up 269, 243, and 261 yards. You are averaging 250 yards the last 3 games. Yet, remarkably, you're 2-1 with a win against Tampa Bay and Carolina.
Okay, boys, our consensus plays. We got the Jets team under, the Philly under. Matt, anything else? We need one more.
I don't remember what. I didn't mind the Pittsburgh, Tennessee under, if that's where you were leaning.
I'm good with that. Ralph?
That or the Kansas City first quarter under.
Or the Chargers first half. There we go. Chargers first half. I like that play.
Done. Because I love that play as well. Consensus plays for today. Philadelphia under, Jets under, Chargers first half under. We're on a 4-2 run in our consensus picks. Guys, teasers. I'm going to be teasing the Chargers and New Orleans on a 2-team 6-point teaser. I'll likely also be releasing that to my clients. Matt, anything?
I think I'm doing the Chargers and the Bengals. I mean, I think they're going to win outright, so give me 9 points. That's perfect.
Ralph?
Pass this week. There's a couple I'm looking at to tease up, but I got to wait on some things. So Don't find any value off the top of my head, so no opinion.
Guys, I'm in the Survivor contest at the Circa. Carmen and I are a team. About 400 guys left. It's over $1 million prize. Like everybody in the world, I will be on Buffalo. But unlike everybody in the world, Carmen and I are still carrying all the good teams. I love you all. Ralph, Matt, thank you so much for your time today. All of you guys who log in every day, it's so greatly appreciated. 123 likes. Thank you so much. 460 of you listening. We'll see you guys next week on the NFL, a Presidential Address.